What's going on, guys? This is the Fullstack Bro coming at you with another video today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 ways to improve your coding skills. Now, if you've already been learning on your own how to code and you're stuck on just a problem that you can't get out of or actually find a solution to a problem for weeks on end, then, these 5 ways can probably help you get over that and actually get better at writing code, understanding problems on how to solve them, the best way to go about creating workflows to solve problems. One thing that you guys should do, especially if you're learning how to code, is that if you don't want to go to school, so you don't want to go to a university to get a computer science degree, you could invest into a programming course. You could go to Udemy, you could go to Pluralsight. Those are some of the cheapest ways to buy a course and actually go through it and make sure that, you understand how to code in a particular language that you're targeting, and just making sure that you do hands-on projects. What's cool about these online programs or these online courses is that they'll have projects that you could just work on and actually get the fundamentals straight there. You don't have to go about scouring the internet or using AI to figure out what projects or problems you want to solve. You could actually just use that course as your guiding point to where, okay, you're learning the fundamentals, you got enough information to where you can actually code something. And now all you need to do is just figure out what's the next steps. What apps are you going to be building and all that stuff. So you could go with, like I said, Udemy, Coursera, or Pluralsight for a cheap option for a course, or you could invest in a coding bootcamp. Now, coding bootcamp will give you more hands-on experience. You'll actually get peer reviewed on your code, and a lot of the different projects that you're going to be working on is going to be more geared to the tech job market. Okay, so if you're looking to do more hands-on stuff, more real-world projects, then a coding bootcamp is the way to go. It's pretty expensive, depending on what bootcamp that you are looking at. There are financial aid options. Some bootcamps do have that, but it just depends on how much you want to invest in your future, right? If your goal is to become a programmer, you should invest maybe $10,000 on a bootcamp, right? And just make sure that you do the research. Make sure that that bootcamp works for you. If it's something that you just want to do on the side, then I wouldn't say do a bootcamp. But if you're really serious about jumping into the tech space, then you have to invest in that, right? And there's no easy way to go about it. Make sure that you do the research in terms of what route you want to go. If you want to do something that's very small, you just want to code on the side, go with a course website. If not, you want to jump into the tech job market and get a job, a coding bootcamp will work for you, all right? Number 2 is you need to learn multiple languages. After you learn and grow from one language, learn another language and keep going through that process. One language will get you in the door, but then you probably have to focus on other languages that could help you become well-rounded, right? And you'll have that under your tool belt and you'll have more opportunities for doing so. For example, if you want to become a front-end developer, what you could do is learn HTML, right? First, understand what HTML is to its foundation. Understand how to build web pages, just bare bones. It doesn't have to look nice and pretty. Just make sure that you understand how a web page is structured on the back end, right? Then from there, you can do CSS. And CSS is going to make that web page look nice and pretty. You could position elements on the page better. If you were to go to a professional website, all that stuff is HTML and CSS. Everything that visually looks pleasing. And then the last thing is JavaScript. JavaScript is I would say, like the finishing touches of a website, right? The functionality behind the scenes. So like if I was to go on a website and fill out a form, there's JavaScript with that. If I was to scroll on the web page and then some animation pops up, JavaScript will help with doing that. JavaScript is used for a lot of different things. If you wanted to track user activity on your website, JavaScript is mostly used for that. So understand those core functionalities, those core fundamentals. That's going to help you go further in your coding journey and actually have definitive results. Not just sticking to just one language, because one language is only going to get you so far. Third thing that you need to do once you finish number 1 and number 2 is that you need to start doing projects. Don't just learn everything from just reading the material. Actually, hands-on building projects is going to help you get better. The project doesn't need to be perfect. once you just write code in the IDE and it outputs something on the screen to where it's something that you want to build, then you're on the right track. Just make sure that you start doing projects. You start doing small projects just to get your feet wet. Then from there, start looking into real world projects, like look into building a user management system where you could log into that app and you could look at visually what users are added to your website and just create that interface. You could also create an app where you could just log in, you get like a nice visual dashboard, you could do multiple things within the app. You could just keep adding and building towards it. Now, you could go on YouTube and you could look at clones of different apps that are out there, right? There's a bunch of different YouTube tutorials that are out there now that clones Netflix, Twitter, different websites, right? And you could just learn as much as you can. Now, that helps so much, but then you're gonna lose a lot of insight in that, right? And this is where a lot of developers get into, or a lot of people, they get into what is called tutorial hell, which is basically, I'm gonna go through all these tutorials, I'm gonna keep building projects, but I'm not gonna understand exactly what I built. And that doesn't help you, especially if you're trying to get a job as an engineer. So what you need to do, go on YouTube, look for a tutorial that interests you, right? Follow that tutorial as much as you can and make as much progress every single day. And just understand exactly why it's built the way it is, and you should be fine. A lot of people will just copy and paste the code and just be like, okay, I built this application. It's like, well, what are the fundamentals of what you built? What's the tech stack? What kind of, technologies are you using? If you're just building something just to have it for your portfolio, it's definitely going to come up in an interview. So you want to be as prepared as possible. Do projects, get things done, understand what you built so that you can build something similar if it comes up in an interview, all right? And knock it out the park. The fourth thing is you got to have someone peer review your code. This is why I think going into a coding boot camp, especially if you don't have experience, is going to help you tremendously, because you're going to have someone that knows more about how to build an application and look at your code to see if you're making any fundamental mistakes. And you might be building something, it might be something that you're very proud of, and then you have someone peer review it, they'll knock it down quick, because it's a lot of stuff that you're adding to your code that's making it either harder to read, or the workflow just doesn't work as it should, because there's a lot of gotchas in it. So having someone peer review your code is crucial to becoming better. Trust me, there's so many times I wrote code and it got destroyed by someone else that knew more than me. And it was just because it's just something that you have to learn from. And throughout my career, I've always got that feedback, like, hey, like, you should do it this way. This is the way that we're writing our code so that we don't have to accumulate tech debt and we don't have to refactor things. This helps with being more resilient, right? This helps with actually understanding how to solve problems. The more you're able to stick within a standard and you're able to write your code in an efficient way, the less problems that you have to deal with and the easier things will get. So if you need help with peer reviewing your code, you could, reach out to someone in the community, or you could reach out to me. If you want me to look at something that you built, I could give you constructive criticism in terms of whether you're going the right direction or not. So just keep that in mind. The fifth and final thing, and this is very important, because a lot of you guys just like to rush through everything and think that you're just going to get handed opportunities. That's not the case. Is that you need to take your time. If there's a language that you're learning, take as much time as possible. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to spend 4 to 5 hours working on a particular problem. You shouldn't do that in the first place. What you should do is carve out at least an hour to a day to just focus on coding, right? Some people can't do an hour or two, but that hour or two time block could be broken down into smaller pieces. If there's something that you're stuck on, take a break for 15 to 20 minutes, come back to it, and just keep going through that repetitive cycle until you get that project done. This is gonna help you build more confidence so that you could start building projects out the gate and actually don't have to start with something, solving something or creating a function, then stopping, going to research it on another screen, come back to it, do the same thing, back and forth, back and forth. The more you do repetition of just going and building out something, building projects, you're going to notice that things are going to come easier to you. You don't have to really do as much research unless it's super complex. And even when it comes to the complex stuff, you have to break things down into smaller pieces just to understand the bigger picture. Okay. But, you know, as a beginner, I'm not going to force you guys to do that. But once you get to a certain point, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So time is your friend. The more time that you have dedicated to getting better at coding, the more you're going to be able to be more confident in the way you're coding, the projects that you're building, and actually get yourself out there in the job market. Because I'm going to be honest with you, the job market right now is not good. It's not good, not just good for tech, it's for everybody. Everybody's having a problem finding a job right now. Okay, so what you need to do is prepare as much as possible. Make sure that you stand out. The way you will stand out is based on the amount of practice that you are putting in towards yourself. If you want to learn how to code, it's an investment in yourself. There's a why in terms of why you want to code. It's not because if it's just for the money, then fine. Be honest, right? But let's keep it real. If you want to build something from scratch, if your passion is technology and you always wanted to code and it's something that's interests you, then that's something that you will stick with. If you're trying to do something just for money, you're not going to stick with it. Trust me, you're going to get discouraged and you're not going to push yourself to get past those limits that are set for you as you continue to go through your journey. Because some people, they get excited for like a week or two, they code, they do everything that they need to do. And then later on, they're like, oh, I can't get past this, or they get discouraged and they just stop. And those people that are vetted out, you're going to leapfrog them and you're actually going to be the ones on the interviews doing the work. Even if you get rejected from these interviewers, you're going to be able to build more confidence because you're going to be practicing a lot interviewing. You're going to be practicing a lot of your coding. You're going to learn and grow from every single interview that you do, and it's going to make you better for it. So time is your friend, like I said. Do as much as you can and you will do fine, and you will definitely improve your coding skills, okay? So that's it, guys. That's the video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know how your coding journey is going. If you're stuck on something, maybe these 5 things that I discussed with you today could help you. Because some people, they're very hesitant of making a decision just because like they don't know the information or they're just scared of what the outcome is. I'm telling you guys, just go for it. If you want to do a coding bootcamp, do it. If you want to build a project on your own, start doing that project. Just don't wait for the right time. Just start doing, okay? Action will help you go further than not doing anything, okay? We'll talk soon.